by default, so I'm not going to rate it any higher than D tier.
Okay. I'm just now curious though. Where's the Spinosaurus gonna rank? I feel like the Spino might be B tier, right? Because this video was a while ago. So, you feel me? Because I'm not delusional. I don't think Spinosaurus is gonna be S tier. I feel like the T-Rex is gonna be S tier, of course. It's the fucking T-Rex. A tier might be the Triceratops and Stego, maybe the long neck one, and then Spino will be B tier.
Also in D tier we have Spinosaurus.
I don't know if you could tell from my voice, bro, but my voice is gone. I won't say it's gone, but it's like, it's disappearing. It's clinging on for dear life. You know what I mean? Like, my voice is, oh. So no, hoodie dude. You know, I'll do it one time. I'll do it one time. Banger! Oh! My voice just gets, I just can't speak no more, bro. I go mute. But, bro, we got another tier zoo video from it. Y'all really liked the last one, the insect tier list one. I was shocked y'all liked it this much. I thought it was gonna be like a video that like got like 12K or something. Like, you know, not to say 12K is no, I love y'all. I love each and every one of y'all. You know, not parasocially. You know what I'm saying. But at the same time though, I didn't know y'all mess with the big zoo like that, bruh. So I'm here to oblige with another one, the dinosaur tier list, bruh. Hey. I love dinosaurs. I really do, bruh. But unfortunately, though, my favorite dinosaurs been getting nerfed like for fucking decades, bro. Oh, I can't cuss for real. For like eons, gang. The Spinosaurus. Like, bro, every time you hear a new scientific discovery about the Spinosaurus, bro, it's something negative. It can never be the Spinosaurus is like bigger than average. It could study showed the Spinosaurus could do this, that, and the third was actually could use the Bankai and a Sharingan and was actually could use Spider-Man's. You know what I'm saying? It's always something so negative. Studies showed the Spinosaurus got bullied. The Spinosaurus is just a bunch of leaves packed together so conveniently. Well, other dinosaurs be getting these cool-ass, like, discoveries and stuff, bruh. That's wicked. That's crazy. But anyways, I'm excited. Let's get straight to it, bruh.
The dinosaur clips in this video are from documentaries you can find on CuriosityStream.
Woo!
More on them at the end of the video.
Okie dokie. Dude, the aisle. I want to play the aisle more, bro. I can't wait till, like, my exam week is over, bro. Oh, my God. Exam week is kicking my ass. So did they just not notice a little like gerbil go inside a little hole, bro? Hold on. Could this be y'all, bro? This is my ranked teammates, gang. I ain't gonna lie. POV Rainbow Six Siege drones, gang. Shoot the drones, bro. Like, you literally saw it go inside, bro. Dig. My ranked teammates. I think that was kind of overkill. I'm not gonna. What an asshole. The aisle. Dang, that little mouse got cooked. Bro, this be y'all big back selves. I ain't gonna hold you. I ain't gonna. This shit will work on me. Imagine like a Chick-fil-A like gift card, like a Chick-fil-A like 4-piece McNugget. Damn, but do you know the order exactly? Shut up, bro. Like, this will work on me. I ain't gonna hold you. What have you missed?
Dinosaurs were some of the most powerful builds to ever be introduced to the game, while other factions like the Mammal Guild and Arthropod Guild have come up with some pretty impressive ones. On land, nothing has yet topped the sheer power of the Reptile Guild's greatest achievements. Even though their massive size is perhaps their most notable trait, there was also a ton of variety in the abilities and combat strategies that—
Bro, look, it's the Therizinosaurus, Triceratops, T-Rex. Basic ass choices. No, I actually like the Triceratops. I ain't gonna lie. Triceratops is on top. One of the most basic, but like, hey, one of the best choices. T-Rex, like, listen. It's like I have a love-hate relationship with the T-Rex. The T-Rex is fucking awesome. No denying it. But I'm a Spinosaurus fan, you feel me? It's like being a Celtics fan and hating Kobe. You know what I mean? Like, I love Kobe's game. I love it. But if you're a Celtics fan, you hate Kobe. Or being like a Toronto Raptors fan and like you're naturally gonna hate LeBron. It's like that type of rivalry. Well, not anymore because the Spinosaurus is in a play-in. Not even a play-in. It's in a lottery. Well, the T-Rex is like ring after ring after ring in a dynasty, apparently. But whatever.
these builds employed. And so today I think it's
employed. You don't get that.
It's finally time to release my dinosaur tier list. Obviously, there's a ton of dinosaur builds, so there's no way I can cover all of them.
I got you.
But I definitely will try to hit the important ones.
Okay.
It's worth noting that the reign of the dinosaur faction lasted more than twice as long as the reign of the mammal faction that supplanted them. And so during this huge stretch of time, dinosaur maids basically tried out every conceivable strategy, and that's why there are so many builds to talk about.
Okay.
But as always, we'll start from the bottom of the tier list and move up from there. At the bottom, we've got Dryosaurus and Camptosaurus.
Ooh,
Two
okay.
very similar herbivore builds with an interesting stat spread.
I never got making a build like this on herbivore, making it small and defenseless. Like, why? It basically, like, it's a raptor without the coolness. You feel me? Like, people who make this build just want to be different, bro. It's like making a rebounding point guard. Cause you trash. Wasted your money.
Dinosaurs are known for their immense strength, but neither of these builds boast any sort of offensive capabilities.
Do you got any
Instead,
defense?
they have a modest but below average defensive spread,
Bruh.
decent mobility, and above average intelligence for a dinosaur. These builds took advantage of how powerful the other herbivore builds were by sticking by the bulkier ones and relying on them to defend the herd.
Oh my god, what a lose. That's such a losing playstyle, bro. You essentially, how do I say this? You a leech. You a parasite. You leeching off the goat Stegosaurus. The Stegosaurus is one of those goats, bro. Let's not get it twisted. He's one of them goats, all right? Legendary builds. And you leeching off my mans.
They also took advantage of the fact that they were faster than other herbivores, even though their mobility was lower than most predator builds.
Bro, so they would stick by other, like, bigger herbivores, right? Leech off them, but then outrun them. I ain't gonna lie, that's a crazy strategy. I kind of mess with it. That's so fun. I kind of fuck with it.
Their higher intelligence granted them more advanced perception, letting them function as the herd lookouts. But nonetheless,
never
these
mind.
builds were helpless on their own, and were easy targets for predator mains if they were ever caught undefended. Their lack of self-sufficiency puts them in F tier, in my opinion.
That's fair. That's fair.
I think they realized this, though, because later on, this faction started speccing into either extra
the
armor on their
patches?
heads or spikes on their thumbs,
There we go.
giving them much better options for dealing with aggressive players.
Way better, yes.
In D tier, we've
Upgraded the build. I like that. Changed the meta.
got two carnivore builds, the first being Coelophysis.
Okay.
Coelophysis was one of the first dinosaur builds that the devs introduced, and like all of the early dinosaurs, it really was nowhere near the power level of the ones that would be added to the game later in the Jurassic
Jesus Christ.
and Cretaceous expansions.
Okay.
The only reason it became such a popular and dominant build was because it starved and dehydrated more slowly than its non-dinosaur rivals. And this isn't to say that it didn't struggle to succeed too. It absolutely did, and often had to resort to team killing just to get by.
Betrayal.
It sort of dominated
Thank you.
the early dino meta by default, so I'm not going to rate it any higher than D tier.
Okay. I'm just now curious though. Where's the Spinosaurus gonna rank? I feel like the Spino might be B tier, right? Because this video was a while ago. So you feel me? Because I'm not delusional. I don't think Spinosaurus is gonna be S tier. I feel like the T-Rex is gonna be S tier, of course. It's the fucking T-Rex. A tier might be the Triceratops and Stego, maybe the long neck one. And then Spino will be B tier.
Also in D tier, we have Spinosaurus.
What? What? Wait! No, wait, why? My throat. Bro, why? What the fuck? He heard me, bro. This man, my goat tier zoo heard me, gang. Huh? What?
Spinosaurus is a unique build that spec'd heavily into fishing abilities and aquatic adaptations,
And it's so cool!
including the rare ability of electroreception,
Oh, that's sweet!
which helped it catch fish players even when they were in stealth mode.
That's so cool!
This is great for that specific application, but Spinosaurus mains weren't actually fully aquatic. They couldn't breathe underwater and still had to spend plenty of their gameplay dealing with the challenges of being a terrestrial build.
But still,
And
it's
unfortunately, their stats and abilities leave a lot to be desired in
Oh no!
terms of contending with the terrestrial meta at that time. Because they'd spent so many evolution points adapting their build to be able to fish, they'd secured themselves a unique niche at the cost of being able to hold their own in general combat.
Okay. Oh my god. And I gotta add.
When I think about how I divide my time, it's very carefully. I'm Alex Diaz.
What?
Professional.
What? Okay, whatever. Bro, I get hit with a Grammarly ad, bro. Fuck out of here.
They'd get bodied by most other carnivore mains and
Shut up.
outsped by most herbivore mains,
Shut up.
leaving them in an awkward position.
Why you showing my man Spinosaurus as a lowlights, bro? It's like JaVale McGee and Shaqtin' the Fool, bro. You know what I mean? Like, it's not that bad.
If they'd had more time, they might have been able to gain enough experience to spec into a fully aquatic build. But unfortunately, the devs decided to up the overworld temperature, raising the sea levels but drying up the rivers.
They got hold then. That's not even. Oh my god. The devs be messing things up, bro. Why the devs nerfing the Spinosaurus? Why? It's like Marvel Rivals nerfing Spider-Man because Necro said something. Like, what the hell? Like, what did Spider-Man do?
leaving the Spinosaurus
Oh my god.
player base without a niche.
I can see that, bro. And without like any life as well. POV, the drunk friend, the unemployed friend, and like a random Tuesday.
The lesson here is that if you ever find yourself speccing into the playstyle of an amphibian, you may want to reconsider how you're spending your evolution points. Last in D tier we have the Hadrosaurs. Now, I don't have a ton to say about these builds.
Okay.
Generally, their main game plan is pretty simple. See a predator coming and run away.
Okay.
This is pretty similar to the Dryosaurus and Camptosaurus playstyle I mentioned in F tier.
What makes it
but
better?
instead of relying on the more powerful herbivores to defend them,
jacked.
they had the HP required to shrug off a hit or two.
They're jacked. Golly, bro. A bunch of D1 linemen, bro. Good lord. That man is jacked as hell. Look.
To shrug off a hit or two, and actually had the mobility required to escape, assuming they saw the attack coming.
Okay.
Overall, this build was pretty easy to play, but had a low skill ceiling as well, since they had no actual combat abilities. All in all, there's a reason
Damn.
players consider Hadrosaurs more forgettable among dinosaur builds.
No, that makes sense.
In C tier, we've
Gut
got
checked his ass.
two of the most famous Jurassic builds. The first is Stegosaurus.
Really?
Taking a quick look at the Stegosaurus' stats, it's clear that this build was extreme on many fronts.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense, but like, okay.
It had one of the lowest
let me hear 'em
intelligence
out.
levels of any dinosaur, and also didn't exactly have much in terms of mobility either.
That makes sense, okay.
However,
But
it
they're
had
tanks.
pretty incredible combat stats and
Yeah.
powerful abilities to back it up. Most notably, its backplates and Thagomizer.
Yeah.
Their backplates significantly reduce the chance of an attacker scoring a critical hit against them,
Which is good.
since it's much harder to bite down on a Stegosaurus' weak point when there
Because
are
of-
plates
yeah.
in the way. Their
Big back ass. I know y'all would it.
backplates can also be flushed with blood to grant a large intimidation buff, which works great against predator and herbivore mains alike.
That's cool.
The Thagomizer is one of the most unique weapons of any dinosaur build. The Thagomizer has one of the highest critical hit chances of any weapon in the game, often dealing enough damage to one-shot
It is gooch.
most players. Because it's a tail spike, this attack has a lot of reach, making approaching a defending Stegosaurus player extremely difficult.
It's
However,
stupid.
the strategy was by no means perfect. Their low mobility made fleeing from battle impossible, so if an enemy did know how to subvert its defenses,
wraps, yeah.
Stegosaurus mains would be out of options.
Yeah, it's just wraps.
And since their tails weren't long enough to cover an attack from the front, that was often their downfall. Thankfully, their base game plan was relatively simple, so their low intelligence didn't hinder them too much. Also in C tier, we have every Stegosaurus main's arch enemy, Allosaurus.
Bro, the beat, it's like the thing versus the Hulk, bro. I don't know, I feel like the Stegosaurus could arguably be like B tier. I ain't gonna lie. Because aren't they like in groups and stuff? So it's kind of hard to like go up to them up front.
The Allosaurus build was unique in that it actually invested very little into the bite attack, only having the bite strength of a lion. Instead,
Really?
Allosaurus dealt damage by using its head like a battle
Battery,
axe,
okay.
swinging its open jaw down onto an enemy player. This dealt heavy
That's
damage, but was
cool.
nowhere near the devastating power of some of the top tier dinosaur combos.
Actually, that's such a cool like actual ability it does. That's so like okay, so it doesn't actually bite. Well, obviously it bites, but it like chomps down like an axe. That's cool as fuck to me. That's so cool.
Moves. It had the highest top speed.
Buddy, dude, you a grown ass. Yes, bro. I'm a grown ass man nerding out about dinosaurs. Cause you a grown ass man nerding out about. I don't even know. Nerding out about McDonald's coupons, big back.
of any build during its time, but had relatively low stamina, meaning it could only sprint for a short time, also similar to lions today. While
Oh,
one
that's so weird. I just had deja vu. What the hell? It's
Allosaurus tended to get bodied by the stronger herbivore players of its time, in packs that could take down just about anything. Overall, a solid mid-tier, whose strategies got expanded upon and refined by the later dinosaur builds.
okay.
In B-tier, we have a few builds which did the exact opposite of what Allosaurus did, in that they put a ton of evolution points into a single combat tactic. First, the build was spec'd into the claw skill tree, granting it the longest claws to ever exist in the game, Therizinosaurs. Therizinosaurs were excellent in 1v1 combat, because their claws gave them incredible reach and damage,
Dude, they were horrifying in Ark. I'm not gonna lie.
perfect for slicing at the heads of carnivore mains that were trying to bite them.
Bitch back to that.
Their slash attack was the strongest the game had ever seen.
Really?
In fact, they put so many points into the claw skill tree that they had none left over for teeth or mobility, and were actually forced to change teams from the carnivore side to the herbivore side, making them the only build from the theropod faction to opt not to be a predator.
That's so okay.
This actually
This
worked
is
out really
fascinating
well
to
for
me,
them,
dude.
because they no longer had to compete with the other predator mains for XP, and were also taller than most herbivore players typically seen in the forest biomes. Sure, they were lacking in intelligence and mobility, and
But
also
who cares? They got big ass knives.
couldn't actually gain any experience from the enemies that they defeated with their claws. But all in all, they had a surprisingly effective strategy. Not a perfect defense, as they were definitely still vulnerable to coordinated assaults, but definitely an above average build. On the opposite end of the spectrum from Allosaurus and Therizinosaurus, both of which had either weak or non-existent bite damage, we have the carnivore build that puts all of its evolution points into maxing out the bite attack, the Tyrannosaurus Rex.
Really? Wait, really? The T-Rex is B tier? Ha ha! Loser! How do you do this in the Spino? Shut up.
T-Rex had the most powerful bite attack in the history of the game, able to take out any player it was able to bite in a single hit.
Yeah, I didn't know. Okay.
This also gave it the ability to crush bone,
Bones, yeah, I knew that.
letting it access the XP-rich marrow inside.
And studies show that T-Rex can actually use a Super Saiyan 4. Studies show that T-Rex was actually a Class A billionaire. Studies show that T-Rex, he was a Chad. But the Spino, a cuck. Alright, bro.
Similar to what hyenas do in today's meta, T-Rex was a hybrid between a predator and scavenger build. It didn't have the greatest luck taking down the heavily armored herbivores of the Cretaceous expansion, but it could certainly defeat them if the T-Rex players worked in a group. And as a scavenger, its massive size gave it the ability to steal kills from other carnivore players who had no hope of surviving its devastating bite if they got in its way.
Does that T-Rex have a boner? Look. Hold on, bro. This is y'all.
Devastating bite if they got
freaky asses
in its way.
Oh my fuck. Whoa, hold on, wait.
C. Succulent.
Okay. What the fuck?
And tasty as hell. Bring Steve's famous lava chicken right into your Minecraft world.
You know what? I kind of like this ad. This is the only ad I like. I'm not calling you. It's Minecraft face. That's why I only like. That's the only reason I like it.
T-Rex did, however, have to sacrifice all of its other offensive strengths in order to maximize its
and the camos. Oh my god, my throat. It's cool. It's so cool.
Its arms were so short that its claw attack had pathetic range, making them useless both for holding prey and fighting rivals for territory. And it also wasn't particularly fast outside of short bursts of speed, so if players saw it coming, which wasn't that hard because of its massive size, they wouldn't have too tough a time avoiding it. Still, with team strats, it was near unstoppable, and it always had the option to fall back on scavenging, so it was definitely a solid high tier.
Okay.
The last B tier build I want to talk about is Triceratops.
Really? The OGs? The LeBron and Steph Curry are both B tier? No, okay,
in terms of defense in a single direction, no build has ever come close to Triceratops.
Yeah,
Their horns can deal massive damage in a single swing, even to giant carnivore builds like T-Rex. Looking at its stats, it's pretty clear that going head-to-head with this thing would end badly.
Yeah, you're dead.
However, one thing I've noticed is that players nowadays fail to remember its main drawback, low intelligence. This thing was pretty close to a modern-day opossum in terms of brain power, and as many of you should know from my Australia video, marsupials are some of the least intelligent mammals.
Damn.
People assume Triceratops behaved similar to a modern-day elephant, since both are about the same size and sport powerful front-facing weaponry. However, the herd behavior that makes elephants so untouchable by predators was absent in the Triceratops build, as
so the Triceratops are touchable.
They were mostly solitary, and this was due to their low intelligence stat. Because of that, they were highly vulnerable from being attacked from behind, or from multiple angles at once.
So they only, so you can only get them by jumping. I'm okay.
Triceratops' low intelligence also meant that it was easily tricked into walking into ambushes set by carnivore mains, which pretty much always meant a game over for the Triceratops.
That makes sense, okay.
As powerful as this build is, and it is powerful, don't get me wrong,
damn.
I think it's definitely not a top tier dinosaur and caps out at B tier.
Okay, now I'm curious, what are the top tiers then?
Okay, so in A tier, we've got the dinosaurs, which were a bit smarter about how they invested their evolution points.
The Raptors? Because I'm assuming it's going to go by like intelligence.
First, we have the Dromaeosaurus, the faction of dinosaurs that includes builds like Velociraptor, Deinonychus, and Utah Raptor.
Hey, I'm like that.
These players made an interesting choice to forego
because it's groups, right? Group-based.
Gigantism ability that made dinosaurs so dominant in the first place, and try their hand at more of an evasive rushdown playstyle.
Bro, if you don't stop on those little shits!
Sacrificing both their HP and defense stats to buff their mobility and DPS as best they could. Most notably, they spec'd into buffing a single claw on each foot, which had two important functions. The first being that it could deal massive slash and stab type damage, and the second being that it gave them the ability to hook onto players that they were targeting using the pounce attack.
Most annoying, it's like having like little brothers, bro, that watch WWE, just beating the shit out of you.
Overall, this build had much higher damage than normal for a build
eat his ass.
that size, and could easily take down players in a much higher weight class, especially if they attacked in a group, which they often did. They had the ability to weave in and out of their opponent's attack range easily, letting them bait out and dodge attacks.
Bro, what the fuck? You saw how my mans was moving? Hold on, bruh. What the slow-mo ass? What the fuck? Could he Katana Zero, bro? He's slowing down
letting
time.
Them bait out and dodge attacks. The one main drawback to this build was that if it ever got careless, they could easily take lethal damage in a single hit, But overall, this faction was one of the most successful at the time and easily A tier.
Okay.
Also in A tier, we have Carcharodontosaurus, a build very similar to T-Rex in terms of appearance, but with a slightly different plan of attack. Instead of investing purely into bite force, maxing out base damage, Carcharodontosaurus spent its evolution points speccing into advanced serrated teeth.
That's okay.
This gave their bite attack an increased chance to cause the heavy bleed status effect, which would drain the target's HP and stamina over time. This was more cost-effective than pure bite force, and let them retain enough evolution points to spec into claws too, giving them a more well-rounded combat style that could still cause lethal damage from a single bite. This strategy is similar to the one seen employed by the Komodo dragon player base of today's meta. Carcharodontosaurus was also one of the tankier carnivore builds and could shrug off a hit or two even from the builds that would normally devastate anything that they landed a hit on.
Good move, Spino!
This made them extremely good at PvP against the other carnivore builds at the time, making them an easy high tier candidate. The next build I have in A tier is Ankylosaurus, perhaps the best tank build ever to exist in the game. This build essentially took the Stegosaurus strategy and cranked it up to the most extreme it could. Instead of backplates for intimidation, the Ankylosaur players spec'd into armor.
And are the best things for arc for mining iron. If you know, you know.
Instead of tail spikes, they opted for a club.
Oh my god. No, it's a situation, it's just copyrighted! Skip. Okay, imagine getting that look. I should be straight. Just imagine. Alright, YouTube gone. I'm sorry.
Their armor was so impenetrable that it made attacks from even the strongest carnivore mains pretty laughable. While their club didn't have a high crit chance like the tail spikes did, it did do massive damage that could shatter bone, capable of crippling any player unfortunate to take a direct hit from it.
Oh, that hurts me. Imagine taking his jump to like the ankle, bruh. Ugh. We should try this out on y'all. The biggest hoodie dude hater, aka, we need to try some shit out.
Ankylosaurus was near invincible, except that it had one glaring flaw.
Upside down is cooked.
Despite all of its defense and power, it was completely helpless if a player managed to flip it over. For that reason, I can't place it in top tier.
That's valid.
Because a good top tier will have no surefire counterplay.
Okay, that's fire. That's valid.
Last in A tier, we have Troodon. The Troodon build was the only dinosaur build whose core strategy was based around the intelligence stat. Sure, other dinosaurs used team strategies or had advanced perception skills, both of which require some usage of intelligence. But Troodon was the only one to specifically tailor their build around having its brain be its best weapon. Troodon had to sacrifice a lot to get this. High intelligence requires a lot of calories to maintain, so getting the kills required to sustain both a large size and a large brain was impossible, meaning that they had to give up gigantism as a trait.
That makes sense.
So instead of powerful dagger-like claws, Troodon opted for smaller but opposable claws that could be used to pick up objects. This severely cut its potential in combat,
I got
but gave it a lot of options in terms of manipulating its environment to, for example, set up traps to catch players that would otherwise be able to evade them.
I wonder what the most elaborate trap a Troodon has ever set up. Imagine like a whole sting operation. It's like a what's that one? Who's that one dude that caught predators and shit? The sting operation, that guy, Chris Hansen. Like imagine he set up a Chris Hansen level operation, gang. The OG Pred Hunter.
It's very possible that if non-avian dinosaurs weren't banned in the Meteor Strike balance patch, Troodon players would have eventually leveled up their intelligence enough to become top tiers, similar to humans.
Really? That's a theory? That's so cool, but disgusting.
But even though it was starting to gain the power to dominate its environment, it still had no way to combat the other top tiers, aside from just running away.
Dude, thank God these things didn't have thumbs.
So it definitely wasn't S tier. In S tier, we have the most overpowered dinosaur faction of all.
Hold on. Is it a bird? I'm assuming it's a pterodons.
The Sauropods.
Ooh.
Sauropods had every tool they needed to counter all other dinosaur builds.
Really?
They had the maximum HP stat possible for a terrestrial build, and because they used the herd strategy...
that makes sense.
Oftentimes this meant that if a Sauropod player was caught off guard...
Hey, this is proof big backs do survive.
...and was under attack by several carnivore players, it could usually tank enough hits that its teammates would have time to rescue it.
And it can also counter it by having no balls, bro. You can't reach under there.
And of all the dinosaurs, Sauropods also had the largest attack range. Their whip-like tails may have not had the same damage per hit that Stegosaurus or Ankylosaurus did.
And if you don't press that fucker?
But they were still plenty powerful, able to knock down enemies well out of reach of a counterattack. And if they did get too close, a Sauropod's stomp attack was literally the most devastating move in the game.
I could tank it.
Knocking the target down and dealing lethal damage. Lastly, their extreme height gave them a massive advantage for avoiding stealth attacks, as they could see much further than other players. In terms of land superiority, sauropods truly were the most overpowered dinosaurs of all time.
Okay.
It's unfortunate that the devs chose to ban the dinosaurs during the KT balance patch,
I don't even know why the devs decided to do that.
but alas, the meta was getting stale, so I understand why.
It's like a Fortnite thing. Kevin the Cube, next meta.
Hopefully you enjoyed this look back at the
This was
Mesozoic
cool,
meta.
this was cool.
If you enjoy watching videos about dinosaurs, there are a bunch of great documentaries I can recommend.
You hear my man?
For example, if you're curious about Troodon and why it was the smartest dinosaur ever, I have to recommend Leaps in Evolution, a documentary detailing the evolution of brains and intelligence.
It just mentions twerking. But yeah, let's grab up today's video. This is cool, bro. I love dinosaurs, gang. I'm a dino nerd. A dino freak. Well, hold on, not that last part. Hold on. But yeah, I like it, bro. The Spinosaurus. I ain't gonna lie, I did not expect it to be D tier. I thought it was gonna be C tier at minimum. B tier I thought I was hoping for. But this was cool. I like this video, bro. This is is there like a newer version though? Is there like, this is 5 years ago, gang. But let's go wrap up today's video. If you liked it, don't give a fuck. Bye.